benchmarking comp and benefits before negotiating the offer. After you've analyzed the compensation and benefits in your offer, it's time to compare those things to other jobs. Here are the learning outcomes for this video. By the end of the video, you should 1. Understand the importance of benchmarking the comp and benefits package in your offer. 2. Understand the different data sources you can use for benchmarking. 3. Understand why using multiple benchmarking sources can make your data more accurate. And 4. Understand how to ask people for information about compensation. Let's get started. Let's begin by recapping what we've learned up to this point in previous videos. We started by learning about job search preparation activities, including brainstorming jobs of interest. Then we learned how to create a strategic job search plan. Then we flipped our perspective and spent some time discussing how employers view job search candidates. Then we learned about formal and informal networking, including informational interviews. After that, we dissected job descriptions, applications, and interviews. The next step after interviewing is hopefully receiving a job offer. So then we learned about the elements of a job offer, including compensation and benefits. If you have questions about any of those areas, you can always go back and watch the videos. Let's imagine that you've received a job offer and thoroughly analyzed it. This analysis consisted of reading the offer, asking questions to get missing information, and then calculating the total compensation. The next step is for you to compare the total compensation offered for this job to the total compensation offered for similar jobs at other companies. This comparison process is called benchmarking. Without the broader context provided by benchmarking, you won't be able to determine if you should try and negotiate specific parts of your offer. Even though you should be benchmarking both comp and benefits, you'll probably spend most of your time benchmarking cash compensation for several reasons. First, most of the value of your package is in cash compensation, so it's the most important component to focus on. Second, it's much easier to quantify compensation than it is to quantify benefits because benefits are structured so differently across companies. And third, it's typically harder to find benchmarking information for benefits than it is for compensation. There are multiple sources you can use to get benchmarking data. The first is the job description you applied on if it included a pay range. Second is job descriptions at other companies that are posted online that include pay information for the same job title you've been offered. For example, if you've been offered a job as a financial analyst at a utility company, then you could go look at the online job postings for the same position at other utilities. The third source is career and pay websites like PayScale, Salary.com, Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, etc. Fourth is career services at colleges and universities because career services often collects compensation data from alumni. Fifth is your personal experience from other offers you've received in the past. Sixth is recruiters. If you have a relationship with a recruiter who is experienced in the industry of your job offer, then you can reach out to them for input. They might also appreciate having the compensation data you're providing them with. Seventh is coworkers. Eighth is friends and family, assuming that these people work in the industry, geography, or job associated with your offer. You should use multiple sources while benchmarking compensation to ensure that your data is as accurate as possible. You might be tempted to use just one source, such as a compensation website like Glassdoor, to get data. But compensation websites can provide old or inaccurate data. To reduce the risk of using bad data, use more than one website and then also use more than one source. For example, try to get compensation data from career services or a recruiter in addition to using websites. You might want to get compensation data from coworkers, friends, or family. Sometimes talking about compensation with other people can be a sensitive subject. A few tips here when you want to ask people about pay for benchmarking purposes. First, remember that this can be a sensitive topic and don't push the conversation if the other person's uncomfortable. Second, don't ask the person how much they make. Instead, always make it about you. For example, give the person the compensation amount in your offer and ask, does this seem reasonable to you? Phrasing the question in a general way that's about your compensation and not theirs can be disarming. A final note about benchmarking compensation: it gets easier over time. As you progress in your career, you'll start accumulating more data about compensation in your industry. This happens for several reasons. First, you'll hopefully start receiving compensation adjustments that should be market-based. Second, You might have changed employers a few times and received market-based compensation adjustments that way. Third, you might find that people are a bit more comfortable talking about compensation as they get older. And finally, recruiters might give you this data if they're recruiting you for a new job opportunity. That's the end of this foundational video, but just a reminder that this video is part of a longer playlist. The playlist is in chronological order, meaning videos at the beginning of the playlist cover things that occur at the beginning of a job search and vice versa. If you liked this video, then you should check out the other videos in the playlist. If you thought this video was confusing, then try going backwards in the playlist to learn more about job search up until this point, or even forwards in the playlist to see how things come together. Thanks.